A serene haven where your heart may find repose. Imagine sitting with me beneath a gentle moonlit sky. A warm cup of tea cradled in your hands as we share stories to soothe the weary soul. If it resonates, share in the comments below where you are listening from. Are you curled up in a cozy bedroom in Hanoi? Or perhaps lying under the stars in a quiet Mekong Delta village? Wherever you are, you belong here. You have found your way here because something deep within is exhausted. Exhausted by the ceaseless thoughts that circle like birds refusing to alight. Exhausted by replaying today's conversations or rehearsing tomorrow's anxieties. Exhausted by bearing the burden of a mind that never quiets, even as your body yearns for rest. Tonight, we invite peace to cradle you like a gentle tide. No striving is required here. No knowledge demanded. This is your sanctuary now. Find a soft place to settle. Draw a cozy blanket around you and allow yourself to sink deeper. For the next 3 hours, nothing else claims your attention. As the Buddha taught, peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. These words remind us that overthinking is but a cloud passing through the mind. Yet for centuries, Zen masters have preserved a secret our modern world has overlooked. Peace is not achieved after mending life or resolving all dilemmas. Peace is what endures when the pursuit ceases. It is ever present beneath the clamor, patiently awaiting like moonlight veiled by clouds. The stories shared tonight are balm for the contemporary soul. Each is a cup of tea offered in fellowship. Each teaching, a pause to breathe. They guide your heart to release its burdens and recall a profound truth. You are already whole. You are already sufficient. You need not become another to merit repose. Let us begin simply. Inhale slowly now. Feel the air fill your chest. Exhale. Notice how your body yields. How your thoughts ease, even slightly. Here healing commences, not in compulsion, but in tender surrender to what abides. Are you ready to let the din fade? To let your soul be caressed? If so, whisper to yourself, I am here, and know that here is enough. You are not the clouds traversing your sky. Dear friend, you are the sky itself, vast, serene, untouched. For the next 3 hours, we shall interweave Zen koans and Buddhist dharmas, not as doctrines to master, but as soft ripples leading to stillness. This path is yours, whether sleep overtakes you or reflection holds you. The moonlight remains open, yours to repose in. Let us commence together with a tale to hush the mind and warm the heart. Let us settle into our first koan. Dear friend, like a quiet stroll through a misty valley. Long ago, a wayfarer named Kale traversed a winding forest path. His satchel weighed heavy with maps and schemes. His mind heavier still, brimming with queries on his direction, the right course, and what awaited beyond. His thoughts whirled like leaves in an unyielding gale, never settling, never stilled. Does this stir familiarity? A mind adrift, unable to abide in the now. Kale's steps pressed onward, yet his heart wandered astray. He passed trees ablaze with spring blossoms, streams murmuring softly, but beheld none. His gaze fixed on the distant horizon, his mind on an unnamed haven, so ensnared in his inner labyrinth. He nearly collided with an elder nun seated calmly by the trail. She was so motionless she blended with the terrain, like a boulder attuned to breath. Kale stumbled, murmuring contrition. Forgive me, my mind was elsewhere. The nun smiled with equanimity. Your mind was elsewhere, she replied softly. But where were your feet? The query halted Kale utterly. My feet? Here, upon the path, I suppose. Ah, the nun nodded. Thus, a part of you never departed. Tell me, while your thoughts roamed yesterday's quarrels and next week's trepidations, did your feet falter? Did they stray? No, Kale answered deliberately. Dawn of insight breaking. The nun gestured to a level stone beside her. Sit with me. Your thoughts are a stream. They flow ceaselessly. Suffering arises not from their motion, but from your conviction to accompany them. She lifted a single pebble from the earth. Hold this, she said, and describe its sensation. Kale grasped its cool heft, its polished contours. For an instant, his thoughts paused, tethered to the pebble's silent presence. Now, the nun whispered, let your mind abide here, neither on the path ahead nor behind. Yet soon his thoughts meandered anew, to tomorrow's trek, to bygone errors. The nun perceived his turmoil and counseled, do not contend with your thoughts. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness beholding them. You are the sky, immense and unmoved. They are mere clouds traversing it. This koan evokes the Buddha's insight from the Dhammapada. All that we are arises with our thoughts. With our thoughts, we make the world, like a compassionate guide's murmur. It reveals that overthinking draws us from the dharmic now, akin to kale pursuing an unattainable vista. Yet in pausing, in attending to what is, a pebble, a breath, a pulse, we cease nourishing the tumult. The mind requires no coercion to silence, it seeks sanction to repose. Let us cultivate this art of tender observation together. Inhale slowly, sensing the air's cool ingress through your nostrils, its warmth blooming in your chest. Exhale as a sigh bearing away a care. Now behold a thought, perhaps of this day, the morrow, or an unresolved thread. Neither repel nor embrace it. Merely witness it as a cloud gliding across your expanse. If it aids, softly intone to yourself, thinking, as one might summon a cherished companion strayed from view. Then return to your breath. Your mind may stray a dozenfold, and this is the nature of samsara. Each return is no defeat, but a triumph in the noble eightfold path. You fortify your capacity to dwell in the present, permitting thoughts to pass, assured you may ever reclaim this breath, this instant, this tranquil realm. Kale lingered with the nun that eve, clasping the pebble until his mind yielded. For the first time, he hearkened to the stream's melody, beheld stars through oak boughs. He needed not map the entire trail, he needed only to embody this instant fully. With the pebble's serene gravity. What is your pebble presently? Perhaps the blanket's texture, your breath's cadence, or this pause's hush. Can you abide with it? Even now, the nun's dharma endures across eons. The mind delights in wandering. Yet you are unbound to trail it universally. This sadhana is not eternal muting of the sata, but granting it expanse to respire. Thoughts shall arise, schemes, apprehensions, recollections, but you need not pursue. Like kale, you may halt. Clasp this instant as a burnished stone in palm, and in that cessation, transformation stirs, the din ebbs, the heart softens, the soul claims space to abide. Let us share one more breath in Sangha. Inhale profoundly, sensing your chest ascend. Exhale languidly, permitting your form to subside into hush. Mark how your mind lightens, albeit faintly. This is the genesis of cessation, not by exertion, but volition. You are not your thoughts. Dear companion, you are the sky. They traverse it, vast and liberated. As we advance, bear this pebble of presence. Let it moor you when the sata yearns to roam. For now, let us repose in this stillness, poised for another koan to lead us profounder. Draw nearer, dear friend, as we nestle into another koan, like savoring warm tea by hearth glow. In a hamlet cradled by undulant hills, dwelt a woman named Leah, bearing a woven creel wherever she roamed, not for fruits or loaves, but for her vexations. Daily she appended a neighbor's barbed remark, dread of the morrow's yield, a lament for a choice rude years past. The creel swelled ponderous, stooping her shoulders, slackening her gait until she trudged as through mire. Have you borne such a load as Leah's, dear one? A trove of cogitations, remorse, dread, or hypotheticals that defies relinquishment. Leah's hamlet brimmed with unadorned splendor. Wild blooms cavorted in zephyrs, petals ensnaring sunbeams. A rivulet meandered the hills, intoning softly over lustrous cobbles. Yet Leah's sight was riveted to her creel, her sata lost in its snarled freight. She discerned neither blooms nor rivulets lay. Her realm was the burden she hauled, the vexations murmuring her insufficiency. One vespertine, fatigued and frayed, she halted by the stream bank and spied an elder horticulturist nurturing a modest plot. His palms glided unhurried, dusting loam from a languid bloom. He glanced up, noting Leah's taut visage, her creel clutched fiercely. Why bear such encumbrance? He queried. Timbre mild as breeze. Leah's shoulders sagged deeper. These are my vexations, she avowed. If I release them, how shall I discern my course? The horticulturist beamed, gaze crinkling as pages of a cherished tome. He indicated the bloom in grasp. Its corollas drooping in calor. Behold this efflorescence, he intoned. It wanes this day, another shall burgeon anon. Not endures eternally, not blooms, not vexations, not even this juncture. Leah knit brow, digits clenching the creel's haft. Yet these vexations are mine, she insisted. They matter. The horticulturist genuflected, scooping sun-warmed tilth. "Grasp this," he bid, depositing it in her palm. Leia sensed the loam's yielding heft, its granules sifting subtly as she clasped it. For a trice, her sata hushed, ensnared by the tepidity against dermis. "Your vexations resemble this tilth," the horticulturist declared. "They seem steadfast, yet crumble when you cease clutching so fiercely." He inclined toward the stream. "Select one vexation, solely one, and envision consigning it to the flux." Leia demurred, pulse quickening. She evoked a minor vexation, a juncture she'd uttered harshly to her sibling, and envisioned depositing it upon the stream's face. In mentation, the current bore it hence, the vexation dwindling till it vanished round a meander. Her thorax lightened faintly, her respiration deepened subtly. This koan enshrines the Buddha's dharma from the Dhammapada. Mind precedes all phenomena. Mind is their chief, they are all mind-wrought. Like a confidant's subdued counsel, it discloses that our cogitations forge our yokes. Leia's creel was no mere osier, it was her sata tenaciously retaining dukkha, apprehension, and remorse. Yet the Buddha's satya proffers emancipation. Clinging to vexations, we shoulder their mass. Releasing them, we vacate for santosha. This is anicca, impermanence. Not abides, not dukkha, not sukha, not the gravest cogitation. All transits like aqueous flux or nebulous drift. Let us assay this conjointly. Dear companion, summon a vexation you bear. It may be trivial, a juncture you spake excess or paucity, or weightier. Like a dread that vigilates. Judge not, merely note it. Envision it as a cobble in your creel, ponderous yet not you. Now conjure a rivulet, its flux crystalline and clement. Deposit that vexation upon its veneer. Let it buoy away. Observe it recede, attenuating till effaced. How fares your form now? Somewhat unburdened, perchance? If it lingers, that's salubrious. Merely note and respire. Leia revisited the horticulturist's subsequent morn. Creel still laden, yet spirit inquisitive. How relinquish more? She queried. Timbre subdued. The horticulturist indicated the firmament, where nimbus ambled languidly athwart azure. Discern how nimbus cleaves not to welkin, he intoned. They arrive, they depart, and welkin endures. Leia elevated gaze, respiration catching as she beheld a nimbus dissipate into horizon. Your vexations are nimbus, Leia, the horticulturist avowed. Permit them transit, and you'll unearth your cardiac welkin abides. Leia essayed anew, electing a profounder vexation, her trepidation of insufficiency for kin. She envisioned it as a somber nimbus gravid with pluvial. In mentation, she permitted it adrift, observing it attenuate till mere wisp. Her scapulae ascended, her respiration coursed freer. She cognized she needed not resolve the vexation. She needed only permit its procession. Can you sense that prospect, dear companion? That you need not rectify every cogitation for santosha. Kshama, forgiveness, is another mode to attenuate your creel. 'Tis not denying antecedent dukkha, but sanctioning yourself to cease shouldering it. Eons prior, Leia had uttered a surbaclee to an elder confidant amid misapprehension. Though they spake no more, she shouldered those locutions mass. The remorse of amity forfeited. The horticulturist discerned her anguish and counseled. Kshama resembles aperture of palm. What you've tenaciously retained tumbles hence, and palm liberated to clasp novelty. Let us assay a kshama sadhana now. Evoke a juncture you've shouldered. Perchance a self-disappointment or locution that lacerated. Commence diminutive if facile. Envision that juncture as nimbus in your expanse. Grasp it clemently sans adjudication. Intone thereto. I emancipate you. You're not effacing antecedent. You're liberating yourself from its mass. Envision the nimbus adrift, dissipating into azure vastness. Savor your cardiac softening. Thorax aperture. Mark the hush ensuing. Like the Lassic post-pluvial, anicca's satya is boon. It avows no vexation eternal, no dukkha perpetual. Leia's creel was not her. 'Twas merely what she shouldered. And you, dear companion, are not your vexations either. You are welkin, rivulet, expanse wherein santosha dwells. The Buddha's satya admonishes we forge what we retain. Yet we may elect retention. Elect kshama, elect levity, elect this juncture. What would it evoke to depose one more cobble from your creel? Leia commenced quotidian rivulet vigils, deposing one vexation per, some diurnals, novel vexations insinuated, neighbors' animadversion, futurity's dread, that's mortal, is it not? Sata delights in a cruel, yet Leia assimilated pause, respiration, rivulet consignment of superfluity. One nocta she stood by aqueous, beholding astral reflections upon its veneer. For premier in anims, she not merely beheld but savored their subdued luminosity and cardiac. Her creel attenuated, not void, but sufficient for untrammeled ambulation. Can you envision that emancipation? That levity of progressive relinquishment. One respiration per. The rivulet imparted to Leia what Buddha cognized. Dukkha derives from upadana. Emancipation from vimati. Her sibling vexations, kin insufficiency trepidations, amity remorse, all nimbus. Not welkin itself. When she assimilated transit, she unearthed cardiac welkin vast and crystalline. Unscathed by tempest, let us essay one further sadhana to profounden. Evoke another born juncture, perchance remorse, trepidation, or self-insufficiency. Envision it cobble, ponderous yet discreet, savor its mass and sata. Sans tenaciousness, now consign it to cardiac rivulet. Intone submissively, I emancipate you. Observe flux appropriation, conveyance till effacement, respire ingress, thorax dilation, respire egress, form subsidence into sangfroid, mark aperture's expansion, hushes augmentation. This relinquishment sadhana is karuna's clement act for self. 'Tis not impeccability or universal rectification. 'Tis affording cardiac repose, Atman expanse to respire. Buddha's satya vows we forge with cogitation. Thus elect cogitations attenuating, permitting fluvial flux. We're all assimilating creel deposition. One cobble per, each emancipation boon to self. Stride toward innate vimati. Leia's koan culminates not with void creel, but attenuated, and cardiac cognizant of relinquishment. She retains some cobbles, as we all, but no longer permits definition of odyssey. When novel vexations arise, she pauses by interior rivulet. Deposits, recalls she is not carriage. She is elector of retention and relinquishment. You possess identical election, dear companion, rectilinear. In this juncture's impeccability, respire profoundly now. Savor aerial flux into thorax like aqueous plenishing quiescent pool. As egress, envision emancipating one further encumbrance born. Savor scapular softening, cardiac aperture, Atman levity. You are not vexations, trepidations, or remorses. You are vast welkin traversed thereby. Clement rivulet conveyance. Repose now as supine beneath vast. Quiescent welkin. Astral winking submissively surmount. Permit form subsidence. Scapulae depression. Palms softening. Respiration easing into clement cadence. Not to enact. Nowhere to proceed. Merely abide here in hush. Like folium reposing on placid aqueous. Sata may agitate. Murmuring cogitation. Vexation. Reminiscence. Schema. Permit ingress. Permit egress. Like zephyr transiting aperture. You need not accompany. Hush is domicile. Awaiting beneath tumult. Savor respiration tardy and subdued like tide osculating literal. Ingress. Sensing aerial plenitude in quiescence. Egress. Permitting cogitations adrift. Levitus and emancipated. This juncture suffices. Solely this respiration. Solely this sangfroid. You resemble quiescent thalassic mirroring lunar subdued luminosity. Cogitations may undulate veneer, but alter not profundity. Permit transit sans tenaciousness. Your hush endures steadfast and integral. Mark form, repose modality, mass of limbs, thorax softness ascension and descension. Not to aspire, not to rectify. Hush clasps you like tepid mantle on chill nocta. Can you savor its osculation? If cogitation arises, task unfulfilled. Trepidation, aspiration, beam thereto submissively. 'Tis solely nimbus traversing your expanse, not expanse itself. Permit adrift sans pursuit or repulsion. You are quiescence beneath, vast and unscathed. Respire anew tardily, savoring aerial transit through you. Each respiration recurrence to hush. Relinquishment of traction. You need not transcend what you are. This juncture, this respiration is your santasha. Envision solitary astral surmount. Luminosity steadfast in obscurum. Your cardiac resembles that astral. Sang-froid. Present. Resplendent sans exertion. Permit cogitations evanesce like remote echoes. Repose in that luminosity. Hush is yours. Eternally here. Eternally awaiting. Savor form softening ulterior. Subsidence profounder into repose. Respiration flux facile like rivulet discovering course. Each egress conveys tension. Each ingress imports sang-froid. You're clasped in this quiescence. Secure. Integral. If satal lang thang. That's salubrious. Submissively direct recurrence to respiration. Interior hush. Ingress. Savoring form here now. Egress. Permitting all else elapse. This is your asrama. This juncture. This sang-froid. Repose profounder now as if natant on clement undulation. Cogitations may ingress, but possess you not. You are hush. Quiescence. Santosha beneath. Permit self adrift toward nidra or profounder sang-froid. Nocta cradles you with infinite karuna. Each respiration conjoins you to magnitude. Terrestrial cadence. Astral pulse. Not required now save presence. Solely this respiration. Solely this abiding. Perchance you mark ambient sonances. Hush's hum. Aerial susurrus. These integrate your santosha. Interwoven into hush's fabric. All belongs here. Inclusive you. Eminently you. Your palpebrae gravitate ponderous like portieres occluding diurnal. Surmount. Obscurum effloresces. Not void, but replete with potential repose. Permit subsidence into that obscurum. Confiding its osculation. Nidra may ingress like clement amicus or repose in vigilant santosha. Boundary, twixt nidra and vigil softens. Inconsequential. What avails is this repose modality? This sanction to merely abide. Your neural lattice recalls unwinding modality. Like efflorescence occluding at crepuscule. Natural. Inexert. Impeccant. Time transits dissimilar here. Elongated like mel. Aureate and tardy. Minuta evoke hore. Hore evoke junctora. You subsist extrinsic urgent tick of horologia. In expanse where solely santosha avails. This is your veridical domicile. If lacrimae ingress, permit flux. They convey what retained. If ananda effervesces, welcome it. 'Tis your innate estate surfacing. Whatever arises impeccant. Integral this clement emancipation. Confide progression. Moon-mind temple environs you now. Its parieties fabricated of astrolux and taciturnity. Here you impeccably secure to repose. Emancipate. Merely subsist sans telos or schema. Temple demands not save your presence. And your presence suffices. Savor how respiration has decelerated. Cardiac cadence steadied. Your form cognizes this cadence. 'Tis identical tempo as undulations on remote littorals. Zephyr through archaic sylvae. You integral magnitude and vast. Repose in that affiliation. This juncture yours. No exertion. No precipitance. Solely hush. Permit respiration conveyance you like folium on quiescent rivulet. Moon-mind temple clasps you. Luminosity enwrapping in santosha. Abide here as requisite. Come, let us sit together as if by a tranquil hearth. Sharing a tale that feels like a warm sip of tea on a still evening. In a village nestled beneath the gentle curve of a mountain, there lived a painter named Soren, who dreamed of crafting a masterpiece. His small studio brimmed with tools, brushes of every size, inks in deep hues, canvases stacked against the walls. Yet Soren's mind was never still. Before he touched a brush, he'd plan every stroke, imagining sweeping landscapes, intricate patterns, or faces so vivid they'd speak. Hours slipped by, but his canvases remained empty. His thoughts knotted with the need for perfection. Does this echo something in you? A mind so busy planning, worrying, or chasing what's next that it forgets to rest in what's now. Soren's village pulsed with quiet beauty. Children ran through dusty lanes, their laughter mingling with the rustle of leaves. Sparrows darted between rooftops, their songs sharp and fleeting in the morning air. A stream wound through the village, its water catching the light like scattered coins. But Soren rarely noticed these things. His eyes were fixed on the idea of a perfect painting, his heart heavy with the fear of falling short. Each night he'd lie awake, his mind tracing what the next day's work should be, what it must be to be enough. One morning, exhausted by his own thoughts, he wandered to a temple at the village's edge. its stone path worn smooth by years of quiet steps. There he saw an old nun sweeping the path, her broom moving with a rhythm so steady it seemed to hum. Soren watched, curious. Each sweep was deliberate, as if the nun poured her whole self into it. "Why sweep so carefully?" he asked. "The wind will scatter more leaves by dusk." The nun paused, her eyes bright with a knowing calm. "Each sweep is its own moment," she said. "I don't sweep for tomorrow's leaves. I sweep for this path. This now." Soren shook his head, his mind still racing with plans. "But I want my painting to be perfect," he said. "I think of every detail. Yet I can't even start." The nun set her broom against a wall and beckoned him to a shaded corner of the temple. She handed him a single brush and a small bowl of ink. "Make one stroke," she said, "just one, as if it's all you'll ever paint." Soren's hand trembled, his thoughts swirling. What if the stroke is too bold? Too faint? Too wrong? The nun saw his hesitation and smiled, her voice soft as a breeze. "Don't paint the mountain or the sky," she said. "Paint this moment with a beginner's mind. Fresh, open, free of plans." Soren took a breath, feeling the air steady his racing heart. He dipped the brush in ink and drew a single line across the paper. Bold and curving like a river finding its way. It wasn't perfect, but it was alive, complete in its simplicity. For the first time, his chest felt light, as if the brush had swept away his need to control. He looked at the nun, his eyes wide. "That felt enough," he said. "This koan bears the Buddhist Dharma from the Dhammapada. With our thoughts, we make the world, like a compassionate nudge from a true friend. It reveals that overthinking weaves a world of complexity, of striving for a perfection that binds us. A beginner's mind, open, inquisitive, unburdened, beholds each instant as novel. Like Soren's solitary stroke, it is not silencing the sata, but encountering it with simplicity, deeming it sufficient as it is." Can you sense that prospect? That you need not blueprint every stride for Santosha? Let us essay a modest sadhana now. Reclaiming this instant, locate something proximate, the blanket's nap, your palms mass in lap, respiration's subdued susurrus. Elect one as Soren elected one stroke. Abide your heed there as if soul in cosmos. If respiration, savor aerial ingress cool and luminous, plenishing thorax like quiescent tide. Savor egress tardy and tepid, conveying tension. If cogitation tugs, task, vexation, schema, contend not. Beam thereto as you'd beam to progeny tugging your palm. Then recur to your solitary. What evokes abiding here sans impeccability's mandate? Soren recurred to temple subsequent dawn. Brush in sleeve. I essayed another stroke. He recounted to none, but Sata recommenced scheming, a grand opus. Laudable. The nun assented, gaze tracing a sparrow perched low. Does sparrow schema its lay? She queried. It vocalizes as here, as this juncture summons. Soren observed sparrow, its minuscule thorax ascending per nota. Emancipated from futurity's dread, he cognized no grand tala needed. He needed confide one stroke, one juncture. That diurnal he limbed solitary line undulant as hill's rim. 'Twas unadorned, yet his, evoking inception's thrill. Beginner's sata resembles sparrow's lay. It adjudicates not, it aspires not, it merely abides. Our satas adore complication, do they not? They fabricate narratives of should-be, might err, must impeccant, yet simplicity cessation of more's pursuit, ameliorations, impeccabilities. Buddha's satya admonishes cogitations forge cosmos. Yet we may elect cogitations emancipating, reclaiming now. What evokes encountering this juncture with beginner's sata? Pristine and ajar, like blank tala awaiting solitary stroke? Let us profound in this sadhana. Elect your solitary anew, perchance palm tactility, respiration cadence, or chamber hush. Abide fully as if soul availing. Mark minutia sans narrativus. Thorax ascension, blankets nap, environs quiescence. If sata lang thang, maro schema. Diurnal reminiscence, expel not. Merely discern, permit transit, recur to solitary. Savor juncture's facility. Levity of superfluities obsque. You need not rectify now. This suffices impeccant. None imparted Soren beginner's sata through annum. In Vesna, she evinced cherry corollas as premier. Each petal minuscule carmine, In Grisma, they observed progeny Ludi in stream. Ananda unscathed by pluvial trepidation. In Sarad, they swept folia conjointly. Each broomstroke japa ipso. Complication. None intoned one hema aurora. Sata's evasion of present. Simplicity cardiac's osculation thereof. Soren commenced diurnal temple sojourns. Each limning solitary stroke. Some diurnals Sata accelerated, yearning grand opus for laudation. Yet he'd recall none satya. Solitary stroke. Solitary juncture. He'd observe sparrows. Hearken stream. Savor brush in palm. Over hebdomades. Tell is replete not with schemed magnum opuses, but lines fluvial naturally. Each nascent from presentia. One vespertine he retroceded, beholding Tala, mountain, stream, welkin, all solitary strokes. 'Twas not impeccant, yet vivax, plenishing cardiac with subdued ananda. Can you envision that ananda? Emancipation of confiding solitary juncture per. None's terminal satya on hema diurnal. When temple path niveus, discern how Nix aspires not. Each flocculus descends impeccant in imperfection. Soren observed Nix saltaire in aerial. Each crystallis unicus yet integral magnitude. He cognized simplicity not positus, but profounder presentia with quicquid. Anims posterior. Peregrini converged for Soren's tellas. Drawn by unadorned potestas, yet Soren cognized arcanum not in consummata, but solitary stroke limbed with beginner's sata. Pristine in vivax. He'd avow visitants. Seek not impeccability in tala. Seek presentia in brushstroke. This unadorned path, not telos, but ambulation modality. Not impeccability's aspiration, but embracing each imperfection with pristine oculus. Buddha's satya admonishes cogitations forge cosmos. Thus forge unadorned, present, solitary respiration per. Your solitary stroke awaits, not crass, not paradis. Now repose in this unadorned. In this beginner's sata beholding each juncture is novel. Permit respiration your brush, this juncture your tala. Limb solitary stroke presentie. Solitary respiration santasha. And cognize this suffices. You suffice. This juncture suffices. Savor how form softened. Sata quieted through this unadorned sadhana. Not to convey complication ulterior. Solely this respiration. Solely this presentia. Solely this clement recurrence to now. Unadorned path eternally here. Awaiting proximate stride. Come, let us sit together as if by a tranquil lake. Its waters calm under a sky brushed with twilight. In a time long past. In a city alive with the hum of life. There lived a young seeker named Urin, whose heart carried a quiet ache. The city pulsed around him. Markets brimming with spices, their scents weaving through the air. Streets filled with the chatter of traders. And lanterns casting golden glows in the dusk. Yet Urin felt weighed down. His mind a whirl of worries. Fears for his family's future. Echoes of old arguments. A gnawing sense he'd never find his place. His thoughts spun like a cartwheel stuck in mud. Endlessly turning, never free. Does that stir something in you? A heart heavy with questions. Searching for peace amidst the noise. Aaron's city was a tapestry of simple wonders. Children darted through alleys, their laughter rising like kites on a breeze. Old women sat under tamarind trees, weaving baskets with hands worn smooth by time. A river ran through the city, its surface shimmering with reflections of passing clouds. But Aaron's eyes were clouded. He saw only his struggles. His mind tangled in why life felt so heavy. Why joys slipped through his fingers like sand. He'd walk the streets, passing vendors calling out their wares. Yet he heard only the chatter of his own thoughts. Regrets over words unspoken. Fears of choices yet to come. One evening, exhausted from carrying this unseen weight, he wandered beyond the city to a grove where a banyan tree spread its ancient arms. There, a teacher sat, surrounded by listeners, her voice steady as a stream over stones. Urin paused, drawn by a stillness he hadn't known he craved. He approached, his voice soft but urgent. "Why'd I suffer?" he asked, the words spilling from a heart too full. The teacher looked at him, her eyes kind yet piercing, like moonlight cutting through fog. "Suffering is a truth we all share," she said, "but there is a path to freedom, a way to lay down your burden." Urin sat, his breath catching as the teacher began to share the four noble truths. The Buddha's map through the heart's pain. The first truth: she said, is that suffering exists. It is the ache you feel. The worry that keeps you awake. The longing for life to be different. Urin nodded, recognizing his own pain, the fear of failing his family, the sting of old mistakes, the restlessness of wanting more. The teacher pointed to a leaf drifting from the banyan tree. See that leaf, she said, it falls as suffering does. It is part of life. But it is not your whole story. Aaron's shoulders softened, his breath easing as he listened. The second truth, the teacher continued, is that suffering has a cause. Craving, the clinging to what we want or the pushing away of what we fear. She gestured to a bird caught in a low branch, its wings fluttering wildly. Look how it struggles, wanting to be free but fighting harder. She said, your mind does this, Urin. It clings to hopes, to regrets, to a life you think should be. Urin saw it clearly, his craving for certainty, his clinging to past hurts, his resistance to life's flow. Each thought tightened the knot in his chest. Each desire added to his burden. But there is hope, the teacher said, her voice like a lantern in the dark. The third truth is that suffering can end, not by changing the world but by letting go of craving. By resting in what is. Aaron's eyes widened, a spark of possibility igniting. Could freedom be so close? The teacher's words flowed on, steady and clear. The fourth truth, she said, is the path to freedom. A way of living with mindfulness, kindness, and wisdom. She picked up a small stone from the grove's soft earth and placed it in Aaron's hand. Feel this, she said. Urin held the stone, its cool weight grounding him, its smooth surface steadying his racing thoughts. This is mindfulness, the teacher said. Rest in this moment, not in what was or what might be. Urin felt his heart settle as if the stone anchored him to the earth. The weight of his worries didn't vanish, but it felt less heavy, less like his entire self. Can it be that simple? He asked, his voice barely a whisper. The teacher smiled, her face soft as the grove shadows. The path is simple, Urin, but it asks for practice. One breath, one step, one moment at a time. The Buddha's wisdom lights this path, shared in the Samyutta Nikaya. When one sees the origin of suffering, one sees the cessation of suffering. Like guidance from one who truly understands. It reminds us that suffering is not a fault. It is a truth we can face with courage. By seeing it, understanding its cause, and walking the path of mindfulness, we find freedom. Aaron's suffering grew from clinging to plans for a perfect future, to regrets over past words, to a self he thought he should be. But the Four Noble Truths offered a way to stop, to release, to rest in the present. Can you feel that invitation, that your suffering, though real, doesn't have to hold you forever? Let us explore each truth more deeply. Starting with the first, the reality of suffering. This is not pessimism or dwelling in pain. It is honest recognition. Like Urin, we all bear burdens, the stress of daily life, the ache of loss, the weight of uncertainty. Sometimes suffering is dramatic, grief, illness, betrayal, sometimes subtle, a background hum of dissatisfaction, the feeling that something's missing. The first truth invites us to cease pretending we are always well and acknowledge what is real. What would it feel like to name your suffering without shame? To say, yes, this is hard, without immediate rectification? Let us essay a visualization to traverse this path conjointly. Envision yourself by a still lake, its water mirroring a lunar crescent. In palms, you clasp a diminutive cobble, a shard of dukkha born. Perchance tomorrow's vexation, yesterday's remorse, or more's longing. Savor its mass. Tactility sans adjudication. This is premier satya. Dukkha subsists, and lucid discernment impeccability. Now query self. What do I tenaciously retain? Perchance sway, lapse trepidation, or differentiality's wish. This is secundus satya. Craving nourishes your dukkha. Clemently deposit cobble by lacustrine rim, permitting repose. You need not shoulder it. This is tertius satya. Dukkha terminable. Now ambulate lacustrine rim path, savoring each stride, each respiration. This is quartus satya. Satir path. Grounding in now. Savor cardiac levity. Sata facility. The secundus satya unveils dukkha's mechanism. Tana oft rendered thirst or craving. Not mere volition, but desperate tenaciousness to sequelae. Belief felicity resides in attainment or evasion. Aaron's sata perpetually attained kin sanction. Futurity certitude. Worthy Atman facsimile. each attainment tensioned like overstrained caoutchouc. We crave sukha, repel dukkha, yet samsara proffers both an eternal mandala. Craving ipso, not vicissitudes, dukkha's found. Have you discerned this in propria vita? Differentiality's volition engendering more dukkha than circumstance ipso. Teacher evinced Arin craving through unadorned exempla. When with amicus litigious, she intoned, what lacerates profounder, their locutions or tana for comprehension? Arin evoked recent strifes, cognizing deepest dukkha from desperate exigency others cognize his vista. When futurity trepidant, teacher prosecuted, what anxiety amplifies? Incertitude ipso or tana for warranty. Iterum Arin discerned satya, dukkha multiplied when contra vitae natural incertitude belligerent. Teacher beamed clemently, tana natural human experientia into battlefields transmutes. Yet you may elect cessation belligerence. Let us profound in visualization, recur to lacustrine, lunar luminosity saltans veneer, grasp ulterior cabal, ulterior dukkha shard, perchance nocta vigil dread, born guilt, or trepidation's relinquishment, savor, discern sans repulsion, this premier satya, dukkha real, denomination fortitude, now mark what nourishes this dukkha, certitude tana, retention of fuit, presentiae repugnancy, this secundus satya, tana ligates you, deposit cabal by aqueous, permitting repose sans tenaciousness, this tertius satya, emancipation when relinquishment, ambulate lacustrine rim path anew, savoring terrain sub peds, aerial in pulmones, this quartus satya, sati conveys you stride per stride, savor burgeoning sang-froid, thoracic expanse, what evokes repose here, even momentarily? Tertius satya, dukkha terminable, oft resistance encounters. Sata protests. Sed ineria? Sed real quaestiones rectification exigence? Buddha non suedabat genuine quaestiones ignoration em or passivity. Indicabat discrimin inter dolor and dukkha. Dolor inevitabilis, morbus, emissio, mutatio vitae integral, dukkha optional, mental narrativus additum, repugnancy creatum, tana amplificans dolor. When teacher of Arin determinationi dukkha lacuta, termination m superflui angustiae per tenaciousness create significavit. Primus gratus fides libertatis proxime. Non crass, non post omnia rectificata, sed nuinc. Quartus satya delineate path, noble eightfold path traditionaliter cognitus. Sed non rigidum programma, sed octo interconnexe vitae sapientis aspectus. Right view lucid discernment, cogitationes non facta annuescens, aniccia omnia gubernans. Right intention cardiac alignment cum sapientia non tana. Right speech, action, livelihood harmonia in necessitudines et opus creans. Right effort aspires cum acceptatione equilibrans. Right sati each instant conscientia adducens. Right concentration presentiate quis incapacitas evolvit. Non precepta impecantur sequenda, sed principia recurrentia iterum et iterum. Orin doctrinas modus exercere inceptivit. When familiae futurity anxietas surrexit. Lapidem tenuit et right view exercit. Vexationem ut transiens tempi statum videns. Non permanentum realitatem. When vitas rancor superficies. Right intention exercit. Karuna super justitium eligendo. When colloquia calefacta. Right speech exercit. Anti-reactiva locutiones posens. Gradatum. Thoracis nodus attenuari incepit. Non quia vita impeccata facta. Sed quia exigere decit impeccatam esse debere. Let us assay ulterior visualization ad hoc profundendum. Recur to lacustrine. Veneer I am impeccant quiescens. Noctis vastum expansum reflectans. Grasp tertium lapidem. Dukkha shard. Dubitationum. Trepidationum. Or desiderium tenaciter retentum. Savor figurum. Masam sans adjudication. This premier satya. Dukkha vitae integral. Et videns fortitudo. Query self. Quid tenio? Approbationis necessitas. Penitentia. Differentialitatis optatio. This secundus satya. Tana dukkha vivificat. Cum infinita clementia. Deposit lapidem lacustrine rim. Observa aquam undisturbed manere. Vastam et acceptantum. This tertius satya. Santascia possibil cum contra quod est pugnare desieris. Nunc santa in path lacustrine rim. Peds in solido solo sentiens. Respiration em naturaliter moventum. Cor hoc iunctora apertum. This quartus satia, via progrediendi semper prompta, semper hic, semper nunc, non fractus, non emissus. Vetus path ambulus chem innumerabiles entia ante te ambulaverunt. Path non vita recidens. Sed profundius in eius vera natura in trans. Buddhas satia nos ducat ut stables stellae in noctis expanso. Duca real, sed non finis. Causa clara et terminus possibilis. Path hic in hac respiration. Hoc iunctura. Non plus quam est necess ad libertatem inveniendum. Non omnia fige ad santatia inveniendum. Vide, demit, ambula uno gradu, una satia, uno iunctura per tempus. Let us repose in this discernment. Bearing satia non onira. Sed dona, parata ad clementum pausum ante proximum coan. Subsidence profounder now as if terra ipsa te tenet. Fessum atman in eius eterna osculationi cradle.